Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Good morning, salam alaikum, everyone. It's good to see everyone back and even more. Some who were on Zoom maybe yesterday. Thank you for coming in person. So yesterday we talked a lot about the main concepts and we tried to illustrate that through many examples. And today we'll go to the third main important concept, which is the will. Okay, because we have freedom, we have discipline, we've talked a lot about that, but this is all in support of the development of the will. The will being the conscious way through which the child and the future adults connect to its fitra. Okay, so it's the inner teacher somehow. Okay, Nuzaiba, at the end of the morning, will give a presentation more dedicated to the, inshallah, presentation more going a bit deeper into the Islamic pure perspective. Okay, much more about what I can do at the moment. And this afternoon, we'll have a long-lasting activity about trying to build partnership charts between school and parents. Because if we want to support the child, we need to work alongside. And so let's make it more concrete. Okay, so we'll build that. We'll try to build that this afternoon, and all people on Zoom, of course, will be part of that. So let's start. About the will. How to develop a constructive will. Okay? Remember, you know about the theory of Mario Montessori. It's the child, when he's born, is about the unconscious absorbent mind, about the nebulae. So it doesn't really have a strong will yet. He already has his inner teacher, but it needs to be supported. So a very short reminder of the different sequences, of the different planes of development. So the first line is related to the absorbent mind and the development of this basic will, would I say. Then the second plane would be about the reasoning mind and the moral development. The third plane, the humanistic mind and the social will formation. And the fourth plane, the specialist mind and the more mature will expression. Don't forget also about how sensitive periods can create windows for the development of a will. Sensitive periods are a very powerful tool as long as you know how to use them. Okay. Is it clear for everyone about the sensitive period and the way you can use them? Okay, because you can use them for teaching or for the child to learn, which is what we already do. But you can also, as the sensitive period is about the child being focused on a dedicated topic, it's also the perfect moment to exercise the will. Okay? And so this can be practiced from the earliest age through regular and adapted Montessori practices. I used to think that giving the opportunity to make choices would start at the toddler's age. But before that, it was a bit more complicated. And I got a lesson last year from my wife. I don't know if she's attending today, but that's a special dedication. I was abroad, and I was in China, and our son Suleiman was 7 months old, more or less. And one day she called me, I mean, we had a discussion, and she said, do you know that your son is able to make choices? I said, come on. Okay, I know you have such a great ambition for your child, but it's only 7 months old. Give him some time. And she said, no, he's really able to make choices. Come on, he's barely able to sit. And so she shared with me a video, a short video she had made. And indeed, so he was sitting at, just beside the table, and she put one little piece of apple, a bite of apple, another bite of pear. Same distance, of course, because if not, it would be. And clearly, so she asked him, what would you like to have? Pear or apple? Of course, he was not able to talk at all, barely able to sit, so not able even to raise his arm. But my gosh, his glance, he was looking at the pear so insistent and not looking at the apple at all. So clear enough, he was able to express a preference. So able to make a choice. See? And indeed, when she gave him the bite of pear, he was super happy and ate it. So the will is already there. This is what I mean. Even when we think it's not there yet, it's already there. The will being a conscious, you see? It's about making decisions, making choices. It's not, don't get confused between the will and the instinct, okay? Because of course, I mean, when the baby is just a newborn, he's able to find the teeth of the mom and to be breastfed. But this is not what we could call a choice. But in this case, that was a clear, conscious choice. So through appropriate Montessori practices, we can definitely support that. And so what's what I call the secret of a happy life? We've talked a little bit about that yesterday. If you really want to be happy, like to feel fulfilled in your life, you need to gain two critical skills. The first critical skill is you need to be able to make choices. Choices that really matter to you and that relate you to your fitra. Not make fake choices that are imposed to you by your parents, your family, or society. So this is the first thing. The second thing is, once you have chosen something that is relevant for you, you need to be able to implement it consistently, not being distracted after 10 minutes. So if you want to become a doctor, you need to be consistent throughout a few years and not give up after the first year, which was the most difficult. Okay, so these are the two major skills, because if you think about it seriously, if you're able to do so, you're able to choose what's good for you, and you're able to implement it, you don't need anything else. You can build the life you want. Is it clear for everyone? Because these are really important skills. So this is why providing the best learning environment from the earliest age is so important. So the child can practice those two skills. Practice making choices every day. And again, yesterday I was telling you, I mean, in a Montessori environment, any child is able to make like 30 choices a day. So, of course, these are small choices. But when you regularly practice, when you reach 15 years old, you've made choices by billions. So you know how to make a choice. And it's just this, next time it will be a different topic, but the reasoning is the same. The process is exactly the same. And for being focused, being able to develop a long-lasting concentration, it's the same. It's just about practice. For sure, a young child is not able to get focused more than a few minutes. But then by the age of 5, 6, any child who has really practiced and had the best conditions for doing this practice should be able to focus on about half an hour, 1 hour, even more for some. Every child is different. Keep in mind that every child is different. So it's not because your child at the age of 6 is not able to stay focused for 1 hour and a half, but everything is lost. Far from that. Okay? But really, it's important to see that you're able to make relevant choices for you, for yourself. And you're able, once you've chosen that, you're able to implement. You're able to stay focused. You're able to keep the same direction. So this is what we call in English agency. It could barely be translated into autonomy, but actually these are the two components. I'm able to make choices and I'm able to implement. So autonomy means having my own law, which in other terms is I'm connected to my fitra. And these are the two essential components of it. Okay? Another thing, as we have noticed, and you know already, I don't know if in the diploma course, I assume you're talking a lot about that, about freedom of movement and how freedom of movement is related to the development of the will. Just because now it's been documented by research, freedom of movement is this capacity that is connected to the development of neural connections. If you don't have freedom of movement, you're preventing from developing neural connections. As simple as that. Because the hand is connected to the brain. And as I said, the first layer of the brain is about safety. And safety is being able to escape any danger. So it's being able to move. So if you're not allowed to move, your brain is being prevented from developing this first layer. And so the second layer, not even the third layer, you can forget about that. Not forget, but it makes everything just more difficult. Is it clear for everyone? So freedom of movement is key. It doesn't mean running the classroom. And then we have about the strengthening of the will. Do you talk about the 3 levels of obedience? Yeah? So you know what the 3 levels of obedience are? No? Okay, so I'll be back to that. So Maria Montessori has described like 3 different levels of obedience related to the build of the autonomy. Okay? So the first level is I'm not able to obey fully. So I'm disobedient, but I don't do it on purpose. It's just I'm not able to follow the rules yet. Or let's say to fully follow them. So it's like I'm disobedient, but it's not my fault. I'm on the learning process. This is where most children are at when they're young. Okay, they try to follow the rule, but they're not necessarily able to follow all of it. The second level of obedience is I can be perfectly obedient. I know what the rule is and I follow it. It's like I want to cross the street, I see the red light, I wait until the light becomes green. Okay? This, let me tell you, this is where most people are at. Where they follow the rule. But then there is a third level of obedience. The third level of obedience is when you're able to question the rule. To question the rule and then to think about it and to apply it if it makes sense and not apply it if it doesn't make sense. Same example, you want to cross the street. There is a red light for pedestrians, but there is absolutely no car coming. And you can see very far on the left, on the right, absolutely no car coming. If you are in the second level of obedience, you don't cross. If you are at the third level of obedience, you cross. Because you can see the rule, but there is no danger. And so just staying waiting doesn't make any sense. So you cross. I hope you can see the developments of that much beyond the red light. This is building your autonomy. Autonomy is, I know, I build my own rule, which doesn't mean anarchy at all. Okay? You just follow the rules when they make sense and don't follow the rule when they're absurd or when they take you far from your fitra. So you don't necessarily follow the rule when it takes you far from Islam, for example. You see? Of course, you need to be cautious about that sometimes. Because you think about what is right and what is wrong. So you have built your own sense of morals. You are connected to yourself and to God. Does it make sense? So what we want in Montessori is to strengthen the will so every child could reach this third level of obedience. We certainly in Montessori don't want children to follow the rule just because it needs to be followed. We want to think about the rule. Why was this rule addicted? Why does this rule make sense? It's not about reinventing everything every day, not at all. But it's about making sure that I understand the deepest meaning of a rule. You see the difference? It's not an easy way, let me tell you. That's why during adolescence, if you've done the job properly, adolescents, they would put into question the rule. This is the third plane. But don't forget that after that, there is the fourth plane where they have built their own way. And so there could be a temporary phase of rejection or putting into question, which is normal, and it's really okay. And then they will be back to their own interpretation, and they have integrated. They endorse the rules, you see? And this is a personal interpretation, but I think this is the true essence of Islam. Our Creator wants us to find our own connection. Of course, we have much guidance. We have the example of our Prophet to guide us. So it's not out of the blue. We are not like reinventing everything. But still, it's not a blind following of the rules. Nobody's encouraged to do that in Islam. From my perspective. Okay? And so the role of the adults into all that, back to what we discussed yesterday, is to provide the best conditions first, so the proper environment, and a maximum number of opportunities to practice. See, it's not enough just to prepare your environment and then, okay, children, move, enjoy. No, this is not enough. You should always keep in mind that then the same way you introduce materials, you suggest activities, you also need to provide as many opportunities as you can for the child to practice and to strengthen his will. And again, it's about making choices and about being focused. The two sides of it. This is regular Montessori practice. And the same at home, exactly the same at home. So I'm talking right now about the classroom, but you can do exactly the same at home. Give opportunities for your child to make choices and provide the best environment and the best family rules for your child to be consistent, to stay focused after he is or she's chosen. Remember, I shared with you my own experience. It's just my experience. I mean, yesterday about when you choose an extracurricular activity, you stick to it for 1 year. It's my personal perspective about that. Yours could be really different, but I'm just sharing with you this experience because it worked quite well. And for example, my eldest daughter, so she chose horse riding, and she did horse riding for, don't remember, I think 3 or 4 years. And after she said, I'm done. It's okay. It was perfectly okay. So she took what she had to take from that. And when she thought that it was okay, she didn't want to go in any competition or whatever. So, okay, I will go and discover something else. That's it. And I don't remember, but another one took another activity and really he or she, I don't remember if it's my second daughter or my son, but he or she didn't really enjoy, but okay, so it was for 1 year and then, okay. But still you've learned the fact that when you make choices, then you realize it's not relevant. Okay, still I need to assume the responsibility of my own choice. And it's okay. And this is how I will share with you another example. We had one student from our middle school. So he had, when he was an adolescent, he had many hobbies. And he really didn't know what to choose about that. So after leaving the middle school, he went into carpentry because he liked that kind of activities. On the process, he lost one finger, cut one finger, so it was a bit hard. And after 2 years, he said, no, actually, no, still don't know what I want, but this is not good for me. And so he went into something completely different. He became a bookseller because he had a passion for cartoons, comics, and mangas. So he became a bookseller, and he was so skilled at that. Really excellent seller. I mean, people would come to the bookshop where he was working, and he would give very good recommendations, etc. He enjoyed a lot. But then after 1 year, he said, no, I need to work outside somehow. I feel a bit stuck in this little bookshop. So he tried something different again. Did he feel failing at any time during this process? Not at all. So he was just trying different things and trying to get more connected to what he really wanted, but it was not easy for him. But at no point he was feeling bad or like stuck into any perspective related to failure. Not at all. Never, ever. So it's all good. So when you're parents, sometimes you could feel very frustrated about that because your wish is that your son would find his own way very soon, and the sooner the better. Doesn't necessarily happen this way. But as long as he's okay, that's his life. And again, we don't know about God's way for him. We can just support. And in this case, he didn't need much support, honestly speaking. He was exploring. And he has time because in the fourth plane of development, it lasts until 24. So that time he was 19, 17, 18, 19. So still had much time. You see, so the role of the adults take care about staying supportive, but not becoming a controller. Because you cannot know what God's plans are related to the child. You just know that there's a potential, that there is this fitra, there is this inner teacher, and your role is to make sure that you create the best conditions for your child or for the children in general to feel connected to that. So they are able to develop their autonomy. Okay, is it clear for everyone? Yes? If you have questions, please don't hesitate, because again, it's I try to make it as clear as possible, but I may not be enough. Do we have questions on the Zoom? Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So there's a question on the Zoom that says, at what age can a parent intervene if the child makes a choice that's not safe, i.e. they want to pursue wrestling as a career?
They want to? Sorry, I don't.
Wrestling as a career. It's an example of what age the child.
As long as the child doesn't put his life into danger, into real danger, I'm not sure. Come on, I'm not sure. Hi. As long as the child doesn't really put his life into immediate danger, he needs to build his own experience. I mean, at a certain point, knowing about the consequences, you're the adult and you know about what will happen, is still completely useless to certain children, because they need to build their own experience. And you may tell them, I know what will happen. I can tell you in advance. It's completely pointless. Because they would answer to you like, yeah, it happened to you like this, but for me it will be different. Of course, you know it won't be. But what they are saying by wording it this way, it's just, I need to go through my own experience. Remember the planes of development. There is the intellectual exploration, but then during adolescence, they need to do things. It's a real need. So if you tell them, like, intellectually, I know what will happen, still I need to do things. So of course you can, again, if you think like your child or your adolescent is in immediate danger, you need to stop that. But the risk is higher. But if you do that without a warning or without all the work that you've done before, the supportive work you've done before, the risk is very high that your child would, what are you doing? If it's that, I'm going away. And this is how bad things happen. Because you've lost the connection. Because the child felt that you wanted to be in control while you just wanted to be supportive. But sometimes the border is very thin. Okay? Yeah.
The friendship amongst the child is not.
Yeah. You make having bad. So this, as long as the child is young, like up to 12, this is really your role to provide a better friendship environment. Yes, this is very important. So this you can do, because after it would be too late. Okay? Because as we said, then it's the age of collaboration. So they would develop these collaborative skills with the environment where they are. So if the environment is bad, they will develop badly oriented collaboration skills. You see? So it's important to look after who they meet and who they spend time with during 6 to 12 period. Because after it's too late. Because then you build the right foundations for the next phase to happen. See? And if you have built that, never say never. But there is no reason why, if your child has good foundations, but suddenly it would turn into something very bad. It doesn't make sense. I mean, we're all parents, we could be all afraid of things, but if what you have built up to that moment is okay, the risk for your child to turn into someone really bad, again, never say never, but there is no chance. You see? Yeah. You have another question?
His environment exists or the doesn't exist in a pathway. We can't just one child to stay away from them. I mean, we're not dating children, we're not writing off children.
I can see that you say you're not labeling children, but the way you consider the question is a little bit about that.
The guide the day to change that culture or environment for how children interact with one another.
You have so many tools for doing so. I mean, you are the guide. So you can provide, you must provide not only a learning environment, but a social environment which is appropriate. So we discussed a lot about that yesterday. There are a few rules in the classroom. No bullying at all. This is not allowed at all. Okay. No harm to anyone. This is not allowed. And then, so this is more preventing. Yeah, and non-negotiable at all. And then you need to cultivate a more positive culture in your classroom. And for this, we have so many tools. Montessori is really about education for peace. And this can be really learned by the children. See, because when it's later, I'm not saying it's too late, but it requires much more effort. So, for example, in our middle school, there would be days where we would spend the day doing mediations. And it's okay because it's still part of the learning process, but you would prefer deeply inside that they have learned that before. So when there is a conflict rising, they know how to fix it. And this can be learned and is supposed to be learned in the 6 to 12 period, because it's about exploration. Learning how to develop your moral skills. So what is right, what is wrong, etc. So it's all about this period. Make sense? Okay. Yeah.
With that classroom that has a lot of people from different backgrounds and cultures, how do we
So always the same. Some things very limited, some things are not negotiable. Okay, and this is applicable to any child. Okay, wherever it comes from, Australia, Europe, Middle East, China, whatever. Okay, or a remote province in Malaysia. It's really okay. It's all the same. And then they are all human beings, so they all have this common ground. Okay. So you can, when we talk about education for peace, it's for everyone. Okay. So these tools are applicable to everyone. And then, of course, you make sure that everyone feels recognized in your classroom. So you don't hide the differences. You try to value them. And this is a very nice topic for exploration, by the way, to progressively understand that everyone has his own perspective and every other person has a different perspective. So what do we do with that? And you don't necessarily need to do things straightforward. For example, art is a very nice way to learn about that. When you go to any museum and you have a visit about paintings, it would be good at a certain point that every child from your classroom is able to say, I really don't like it, but it's so admirable. Because I acknowledge all the work. I can see that there was a hard work, a deep work into this painting. But it's not up to my taste, and that's okay. See, make the difference. I'm able to not like I like or I don't like. This is not mature at all. Is it clear for everyone? And this is very important because I have my own way, my own culture, my own way of thinking, but I can totally accept that people are behaving differently. See, so first plane, the child is self-centered because he is building the right foundations. Second plane is exploring. So is learning that things could be different. Okay? And it's okay. Third plane would be the next step, building things together. During the second plane, it's not the time yet to build things together. It's the time for acknowledging that we are different and we can cooperate. But like it's a distribution of tasks, you see? It's not the same. It's like everyone is aside, so you do that, you do that, you do that. But it's kind of separate work still. It's a team, but everyone is specialized. While for the adolescent time, we are really building things together from our differences. And we are trying to find the common ground. So if we change our perspective and we discuss about nations, countries, keys between nations, now, these days, it's like countries are stuck in the second plane. They're just trying ways not to go at war, see? But they're not really sharing. The third plane is about building the ummah. You see the difference? Second plane, okay, it's okay. We live aside and it's okay. And we don't need to be aggressive or it's a peaceful relationship, but everyone is staying different. Build the ummah between people from different countries, cultures, backgrounds. You try to build this common ground, these shared values. This is a typical third plane program. Is it clear for everyone this difference? Because it's, I mean, again, it's not an easy one to understand. Yeah? You have any questions about that? On Zoom, some questions? So you see, back to what we discussed yesterday, the different steps of its development of the will. First is I develop my will because I know myself. So I know what is good for me. Then I develop my will because I'm able to put myself into other one's shoes. Second plane. I'm able to understand, intellectually speaking, that people could be different. And so understand their perspective. Third plane, I'm able to use my own will to go beyond my own interests to build something together with others. So I'm able to overcome my own self-interest. I can build something that would, how to say, would be non-satisfactory for me on some sides. That would force me to change my own ways. See, while before it was just, okay, I acknowledge that you could be different and we try to find a way how to work together. But I'm not changing anything into my ways. I'm just temporarily making some compromises. Okay. Then I find myself able to change my own ways to build something different with you. And this is where the fourth plane is about contribution to society. Because I've been able to endorse and to build a new identity from my from what I've built with the others. And so now we can contribute with something new to society. New doesn't mean like fully new, but you understand my personal contribution. I mean, I don't know if you'll talk about that, but creativity is such a gift from God. We are able to create things. But to create things, which is the work of the fourth plane and all the adult life, we need to go through all these preliminary steps. Understand who I am, understand others, and being able to build things together. So go beyond who I am. And then, yes, I can really contribute. Okay? So again, first and second plane, childhood, me, others. Third and fourth plane, adulthood. We build things together and we implement things into society. They go by pair, the planes of development. Okay, yeah, please. It's a difficult topic, okay? So feel free to, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes they think that if you do that, you don't like that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we agree to disagree. And this doesn't damage the relationship. See, the most important is, I still love you, my son. Yeah, you need to make it, I mean, you're teaching. You're teaching. So you don't necessarily have to say it, you can just demonstrate it, see? Like, okay, we agree, we had an argument, it's okay, come for a hug. It's really okay. I mean, I hope for you because the opposite situation is quite challenging, but you don't necessarily agree with everything with your husband. Of course, it's better if you have some common values, because differently it would be hard to build a couple. But doesn't mean that you necessarily agree on everything. You may have very different perspectives on some topics. And so it's okay. It's really okay. Because you're yourself, you come from your own experience, background, and the same for him. Yeah. Modeling is the most powerful tool. Okay. Yeah, if someone allows me to make a little experiment, you want to go for a little experiment? It's okay. So can you? Yeah, please see. No, please.
Does it need to be on camera?
Yeah, better. So let's do it in front of the camera. It's very short. Very short. Don't worry. Should be done.
Okay.
So, ready? I really like your dress. That's all. Between what you say, what did I say? I really like your dress. And my body language and my tone, what will you remember? Not what I said. Certainly not what I said. So this is a caricature, of course, but just to show you that when you tell something to your child and you're not modeling it, what does the child remember? What you say or what you do? What you do. So modeling is so much more important than telling. Thank you, dear guinea pig. That's a See, I mean, this is completely meaningless. Just to tell you that, maybe you will remember this little experiment. And anytime you feel a bit upset and you keep on repeating things to your child and it doesn't work, maybe you will remember me and you will say, oh, actually, it's not enough to say things. I need to model them. You see? Because saying things is not enough at all. Okay? That's it. Yeah.
And as well.
Yeah.
Some people bring that transcript from like a typical school or even some homeschools. That's what they lack. How do we encourage more of that? Like freedom.
Yeah. So creativity, as I shared, is really a lovely skill that God gave us, really. And it's all related to this developmental skill. So first thing is, if you relate that to different planes of development, creativity should be during the first plane about expressing yourself. Okay? Because it's about you, self-centered. The first plane is self-centered. So self-expression. Second plane would be more about role plays, because you want to know how other people work, their different perspectives. So it's more, so for example, between 9 and 12, that's the perfect age for starting learning drama, learning theater pieces, giving shows about that, endorsing roles. They love, children at that age, they love role plays because of that. Because it's related to their inner need. Okay? Creativity during adolescence is about building projects together. Because it's not so much about what they did by themselves, but what they did all together. Look at what we've built as a group. This is this sense of collaboration which is enhanced. And then for the fourth plane, there's this notion of my masterpiece. See, this is like at the end of my studies, somehow, I'm building my own masterpiece. So it's a kind of repetition, but what you could do later during your adult life, your contribution. Make sense? Okay. That's it. For one slide, it's okay. So 3 levels of obedience, we've talked about that. Yeah, so let's take, yeah, sure.
So there's a question on the Zoom. It says, how do I, as a parent, explain to a 6 to 12-year-old child in a way that they'll understand why they sometimes can't do what their friends are allowed to do? For example, why their friend might have ice cream for dinner or is allowed to watch certain shows or use certain language and they're not, or the difference in rules and freedoms between homes.
So for children of a second age, it's very common because, again, they're exploring. So these are questions that are very often raised. Like, oh, but how is it that they do it differently? Why shouldn't I be allowed to do the same thing? But unconsciously, deeply inside, they already know the answer. Because this rule in that family is different from ours. And when you go to your grandma, you have a different rule to follow by. But this is the rule in our family. That's it. As simple as that.
Stay with parents, so they have a lot of rules. So we have to educate our parents as we stay together. So we got a lot of rules.
If you go, I mean, there are 2 different things. If you go, for example, for a common event, and you spend some time with this other family, you need to differentiate between the rules of the place. So if you visit them, for example, you need to follow the rules of their place. So if you need to put your shoes aside, you take off your shoes. Even though in your place you would keep on you would keep your shoes on. So you visit their place. And then when it's about your child, how your child should behave if he goes and if he visits them, for example, that's your decision. No, I mean, I cannot model anything about that. Because you could say both. You could say, no, my child is my child. He should follow my rules wherever he is. Option A. Or option B, he's visiting another place, so it's good that he discovers a new rule, as long as this new rule doesn't harm him. Of course. Okay? Like you wouldn't, if you go to a place where they would cut fingers, no, my child, no. Okay, but eating an ice cream and doesn't fit into that, you see? So it's good that they discover, I mean, my own preference, my personal preference would be option B. They visit a new place, it's good to discover there are new rules. And when they come back home, sorry, son, no, here we don't eat ice cream for dinner. You know about that. And I'm so happy you discovered that there is another rule, another way of doing in this other family. It's really okay. Good for you. And if you want, we can discuss about why in our family we don't eat ice cream for dinner. I'm happy to share. Because this rule is not coming out of the blue. That's it. And we can agree to disagree. maybe you would, after this experience in this other family, you would like to have ice cream for dessert. I'm sorry, no. It's okay. It's okay to say no. You don't have to feel guilty by saying no. Yeah. I mean, I will take another example. Maybe it would make you think differently. So your child is like 10 years old, he is praying regularly. And so he visits this family where they don't pray at all. When he comes, I say, I don't want to pray at all. Sorry, son. In our family, we do pray. And we can discuss about that. And when you will be an adult, you could make your own decisions. But as long as you stay in this family, this is the rule in this family. And again, I'm not only imposing that on you, I'm explaining. And if you want to discuss about Jumu'ah, it's okay, really. Let's have a discussion. So you see, why would you find it logical for praying and you feel guilty about ice cream? Doesn't make sense. It's the same. It's exactly the same process. So for me, as I said, as a Montessorian, I would encourage my child to follow the rule of the place where he goes to. Because you don't like to impose your own rule just because it's me, I don't change. No, it's good to put yourself into others' shoes. As long as, of course, it's not, that contradicts your own convictions. You see, I mean, your deep convictions. Eating ice cream for dessert is not a big conviction. I mean, unless you went to the religion of ice cream. You see, I mean, you understand what I mean. But discovering new perspective is really good for the children between 6 and 12 because this is their exploration moment. So this is why, personally, I'd rather allow them, yes, okay, go by and discover. But when you come back, no, we don't eat ice cream for dinner. You see? But of course, again, you could say option A, no, ice cream is really an important topic. We don't go by ice cream at all. This is especially haram, sorry. So, see, I'm not good. And so you don't have ice cream at all. But then if you want to do your education properly, you need to explain the reason why ice cream is haram.
See? The husband and the wife has that different, like, probably for the wife, she said, it's no ice cream for dinner, but the husband said, it's okay to have an ice cream for dinner.
This is one of the, this is one of the challenges of parenting. This is what we face maybe every day. And you just don't realize it because it's about small things. Yeah. So how would our prophet react? Would he go into an argument? No. He would go into a discussion later. I mean, you just fix the situation for now and you don't necessarily need to openly argue in front of the child. Certainly not. But then after you have a discussion and you try to build this common ground for parenting. No?
When the child sees the differences.
Yeah, we are not perfect.
And they're like taking sides.
Do you think you don't make mistakes? We make mistakes every day, and it's okay. Okay. In Montessori, we are really friendly with mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. The only thing we are not friendly with is repeating the same mistakes, which means not learning from our mistakes. So if you have this issue about ice cream, make sure it doesn't happen a second time. This is your only duty. Your duty is certainly not to be perfect. Your duty is not to not repeat the same mistakes. Yes. You see the difference? It could happen. I mean, it happens every day. I mean, I don't know about your couple, but me with my wife, especially coming from two different cultures, it's a bit challenging. And sometimes we really strongly disagree about some things. Okay, so that's it. How do we deal with it? I disagree with you about ice cream will get into divorce. Seriously? That's a very good comment. That's a very good comment. If some of you are interested into the Montessori school leadership course that we will give this fall here, I mean, not in Serum, but not in KL, we did about that, about the fact that you can never undo things. You've said something or you've done something, you may try to withdraw or to say, no, I didn't say it. Actually, you said it. And it may keep some traces.
So you only say it once, but they remember it like, did you say it? Yeah?
No. At the end of the day, this is why it's good to be friendly with mistakes. This was a mistake.
Oh, that's hard to say.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, so I will give you an assignment. For the next 10 years, become friendly with mistakes. Because this, I can tell you, will improve your life so much. So much. I mean, thank you. Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Really. It's so important. Because I assume we are all more or less like this. I mean, it doesn't feel comfortable to make mistakes. Okay? And so, because we don't feel comfortable with making mistakes, we feel guilty or we feel bad to say, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. We don't feel good. I really encourage you to do some personal work on yourself to be able to say, when you make mistake, this was a clear mistake. And I'll try my best not to do it again. This is where your efforts should be. Not to repeat the same mistake. You cannot, we are not God. There is only one God. So we make mistakes every day. So there's no point, I mean, I'm talking very seriously, there's no point at feeling bad at making mistakes because this is a natural process. So it's like, I feel bad at pooing. Is it bad? Okay, it doesn't smell good, but a part of that, it's a natural process. Do you feel bad because you need to go to the toilet? Really, seriously? The same for mistakes. Making mistakes is a natural process. And if you want to go into learning theory, making mistakes is the best way to learn things. So you shouldn't feel guilty at all about making mistakes. You should be grateful, alhamdulillah, I make a mistake, so I can learn, I have an opportunity to learn. But yes, you should feel bad if you keep on repeating the same mistake. Yes, because this is your duty, to think of your own practice and not to repeat the same mistake. So your best effort shouldn't be at avoiding mistakes, because you cannot, but at not repeating the same mistake, yes, because our duty is to become the best version of ourselves. So mistake is a powerful tool. Please use it. Feel okay with, if I was to be a bit provocative, I would say, make many mistakes. No, I mean, I'm serious. It's really okay. Because if you have this right attitude to learn from your mistakes, imagine, again, I'm a bit provocative saying that, but if we consider, and this is proven by research, that we can learn from our mistakes, and it's a nice way to learn. If you could do 500 mistakes a day instead of doing 20, your curve of learning will become exponential if you learn from every mistake you make. You will learn so much. The issue is that sometimes, and more often than sometimes, we don't learn from our mistakes, and we keep on repeating the same ones until the moment it becomes unbearable. And how is it that this is the same thing happening to me since 20 years? Because too often we blame others for our own mistakes. So we don't learn. We don't see this is our responsibility. We blame whoever. Well, if we keep on repeating the same mistakes, it's not the others the issue. It's clearly us. Again, this is just math, statistics. Yeah.
It's a repeated mistake, and then when we come to them, they know immediately what we're gonna say, but it's a repeated thing. How do you?
So your role, this is a very important role as an educator. You're the one who knows about the learning process. So if a child keeps on repeating the same mistake, it's that the learning environment is not appropriate. So there's something to be changed in the learning environment. I cannot say what, of course, because this would depend on every situation. But you need to observe why this child is keeping on repeating the same mistakes. What is wrong in the environment? And then you adjust. And let me tell you, you won't necessarily find the solution on your first attempt. May take up to 10 times to find the right way. But this is exactly your role as an educator. You see, in traditional education, I on purpose don't say we, because I don't consider I'm part of it. They consider there is one way of learning and every child should fit in. If they don't fit in, they need to do their best effort to fit in. In Montessori, we are not thinking the same way at all. We have a completely different way. We know that every child is different, so it's our role as educator to provide the best learning environment. And if a child doesn't fit into what we have prepared, we need to change it. So it would fit the child and not the child fits into it. You see the difference? If a child is not able to learn, it's our responsibility, it's not the child's. Okay? This is our role as guides. So yeah, I'm happy to give some pressure to me. Yes. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. Yeah. But again, don't forget about my little experiment. It's not what you say that matters. It's when you yourself do a mistake, how's your reaction? As she said, I don't feel good when I make mistakes. Do you think her child would feel good at making mistakes? Certainly not. I'm not blaming, okay? Just so it's the way you behave, the way you model. I will give you an example. I personally hate to break things. Like I'm drying the dishes, okay? And of course, there is an incident and there is a plate broken. I used to shout a lot. Like, oh, okay? Because I felt so guilty. because I hate to damage things or breaking a glass or whatever. Doesn't make your children feel comfortable about that. So we would think they would be afraid of your reaction. So it would prevent them from learning or trying to take some initiative because, oh, this is the plate that doesn't want to be broken. So I wouldn't take it at all. See? So there is some, it prevents them from learning some sides. So now, becoming a little older, I've become a bit more comfortable about that. So when it happens that because I'm tired or whatever, I break a glass or a plate, inside it's still boiling, but I'm not showing it too much. So it's better. Yeah. Yeah, you just fix. I mean, you've broken the plate. Let's go and take something to fix that. But you're not making a big scandal of it. It's okay. Take care because you could really hurt yourself. So let's take the broom and clean it. And there is no drama. You see? So it was so of course it's broken. So the child will suffer the consequences of that. This plate is no longer to be used because it's broken. So maybe we'll replace it. Maybe we won't because we don't have the money yet. Okay, so maybe we will need to wait for us to save some money to replace it. But in the meantime, we fix the consequence of that, so we need to clean it. So how would the child feel about that? He would see that, yes, there has been an accident, a plate was broken, okay. We need to clean that, okay, so there are some consequences about it. When you make a mistake, you have some consequences about that, but it's still fixable. And the other thing is we won't be able to use it, so we will need to find another way. So when I make a mistake, I need to find another way. Isn't that what we could describe as a learning process? Yes, it is. I learn. From my mistake, I learn. Wow, such a lovely lesson, just out of breaking a plate. You see? More clear? Okay. Another question? No? Do we have questions on Zoom? Who has a question? Okay. No?
I find it very interesting when you see this about oh, you see about hitting doing mistake is a part of nature.
Yeah.
So in the Quran say in Allah yuhibbul tawwabin or yuhibbul mutatahhirin, he said Allah loves those who make mistakes and then he repent, makes mistakes, repent, makes mistakes, repent. And he also loves those who doesn't make any mistakes. But he put the word tawabin first. He loves those who always do mistakes and then correct it. So when you were saying that, it sounds like, wow, you know, like
I love it.
it's just perfect. Because that concept is actually from God. It's not just some from Montessori, but it's really in line with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Mashallah. Good. Happy to hear that. See, I need to deepen my understanding of a Quran. Okay, so some group activity now. So for, let's say maybe not 20, but 15 minutes, even for, no. So we, like we did yesterday afternoon, 3 groups. So you will mix a bit, okay? But let's say half of the audience here will discuss about building applications in practical life activities. So how does practical life become a support for the building of a will? Okay, so this is, let's say, all people that would sit on that side. It would be about that. The second part here would be about cosmic education. How can cosmic education and moral development support the development of the will? Okay. So try to discuss further. These are deep topics, okay? So think about that. And the third group on Zoom would be about supporting children in recognizing their deep motivations. Is it clear for everyone? Okay. So 15 minutes about that. And in the 15 minutes, we will discuss for, I guess, another 15 minutes. I mute. I mute.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Hello.
Hello, hi. Hi, how are you?
Oh,
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
Alhamdulillah. I can't see anyone on this chat group. I can't see any names.
Okay, hold on.
How many are we in here?
Waalaikumsalam.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello,
I don't,
can you hear me?
yes.
I can hear, but I can't see any names.
Oh, okay. I'm Nadira.
Nadira, I'm Nuria.
Nuria. Are you in KL
Oh,
or?
now I can see you. I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Okay. I'm
Oh, I
all the way
can
in
see the
Malaysia.
names now. Sorry, it was just my screen. I can see
Okay.
Sarah, Nadira. Who else? Oh, this can't be right. It says Rumi Montessori and Julien. Are they on here as well? Ida's phone. No, I think I'm looking at the chat for the whole group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're discussing it as a big group.
Okay. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Nadir, how are you? Wow, you're out jogging, mashallah.
Yeah,
So rajin.
the beauty of technology.
Mashallah, mashallah. It's wonderful. Okay. Well, I see a couple of the Rumi moms here. Yazira, Fatin, Tira. Okie dokie. So discuss how you support children in recognizing their deep motivations.
Can you all hear me?
Oh yeah, Yazira, we
Oh,
hear
okay,
you.
you can. Because I've been trying to talk just now.
We
Hi,
can
how are
hear
you
you
all?
now.
How do I see everybody? I can only see Sarah at the moment.
You're very shy like that.
Yazira, it's just us.
Oh, okay. It's just us. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so what are we discussing?
How
Sarah, what was the question?
Discuss how you support children in recognizing their deep motivations.
Okay, do we take turns to like answer that or?
Yeah, go ahead, Nadira. You sound like you.
Oh, no. I don't have it figured out. This is why I'm like in this Zoom call, but what I try to do is always ask questions. So like say, and I just really want to know, does he want to play this for fun, or does he have like a deep interest in, like music or something? So I always ask questions.
Mhm.
And I think that's as far as I go, but I don't know if that's like the only way.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I try to do that with my kids, but my boys, it's so hard for them to open up.
Yeah, I
Yeah, but
think
that's a really great
I think the
understanding.
big
Yeah.
key is like asking the right kind of question depending on what age they're at. So I think that's the tricky part,
Mhm.
not knowing exactly
To
the
ask,
keywords that would
right?
just kind of like, yeah, to ask and to kind of, I think depending on how you phrase your question, it can really either make them close in or open
I
up.
think one yeah, I'm actually at the swimming pool. Um, one way that I try to do is not to ask an open-ended question.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it may take me like a lot of questions until get to the answer. But if like the first time you ask open-ended questions like why do you want to do it, they not have that they may not have that in words.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how to say it. So you have to ask like, oh, is it because of this? Are you going because your friend is going?
Right.
It's like a yes and no question.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I do sometimes. I don't know if that is like the right way or not. Because I just feel like
Right.
sometimes, when you come back from work and people ask like, how was your day? And you're like, where
Yeah.
do I start?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so many things that happen in my day. And then, because you don't know where to start, you just say, I don't know. Okay, fine.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of answer. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I
Okay.
think also allowing children to have choices, that's really important, what I'm hearing from the talks, so that
Right.
children are given choices. They're not told what to do. They get to choose what they want. And within that, to give them freedoms, with limits, of course, but allowing them to choose when they want to do things, how long they want to do it for, and also not trying to impose our will on them. If we see things, if we look at something as this is the right way to do it, which we do, unfortunately, as parents, we really then interfere with them finding what their fitra is, which was a really big takeaway that I took from his talk.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you give them that freedom of choice, is it with a specific time frame or
Everything's
how
a choice. And like, just to let you know, I'm not a Montessori trained teacher. My background's not Montessori, and I teach in a mainstream education system organization. And I'm really I really resonate with the principles and philosophy of Montessori education. That's why I do these courses. And, at our school, we don't give students the freedom to choose. We don't give them that, 3 hours to immerse themselves in what they're interested in. But what I'm hearing from Julien is that because in the Montessori, it's already structured into the program, they have 3 hours, is a long time for them to explore something that they're interested in. And they get to choose what they want within the framework of what the adult feels is important and relevant to their lives. of whatever culture they belong to. So it will look different for different kids depending where they're growing up around the world. But,
Nadira, were you here yesterday?
pardon?
No, just asking Nadira whether she was in the call in the
Oh
class.
no, I did not attend yesterday's.
I see. Because just to answer your question just now, I think Julien talked about it also. It's like when you give choice, you may want to put some boundary to your choice, or sorry, to the choice you give. Like for example, if your son wants to try piano, you may want to put some rule that you can join piano, but you have to stay for 1 year, no quitting. Before 1 year, because like maybe after 2 or 3 sessions you'll feel like, oh, this is too much for me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you can do that rule up front so that he knows that, okay, it's now his the responsibility is on him after
Right.
that.
Right.
And then
Okay.
after 1 year, if he wants to, if he doesn't want to continue, then you may want to ask why he doesn't want to continue. And
Okay.
he really doesn't want to, then it's his choice.
All
But of
right.
course, you try to try to ask and find out what went wrong. Is it simply because he doesn't like, or because the classes weren't good enough for
Right.
him? Try to
Right.
figure out if it's not his motivation anymore. Then yeah.
Okay. And then in a classroom setting, Julian, you were saying that you give them choices within boundaries, so they get 3 hours to explore maybe 3 different things that a teacher might have provided. And if a child chooses just one thing out of those 3 options, is that okay? Or do you as an educator then, kind of nudge them to try the other 2 activities as well?
I don't think Julien is here with us. He might be joining
okay.
the physical group.
Yazira, I think what I understand is that you allow them to explore whatever it is that they're interested in, and you can tell the difference between play and exploration by looking at the outcome, like is there a purpose for what they're doing? And if there is a purpose, and even if it doesn't align with the model.
Lovely. Perfect.
Practical life as real, practical life as real,
Sit, please.
practical life as a real development. Practical life is one of the main areas in the classroom. So it helps the wheel of development. The control is there. So
Wow. Yes, such a powerful first argument. Definitely. Thank you. Did you all get that?
No.
So
the control of error
practical life supports the development of the will. First, because it has control of error. Such a powerful statement.
No, because the control of error is there. The child feels like the child is learning by himself. So he feels confident to do more and more because he feels like he can learn something. And then they practice
About control of
making
error.
choices through practical life. And especially practical life gradually increasing the challenge. So they can choose something that they are able to do. And then when they are ready, they can choose something a bit more challenging, and that will help to aid in the will of development. And then in practical life, they have to do something from beginning until the end. There's no stopping in the middle. So I experienced myself that I usually not able to finish things. Maybe because I haven't had practical life activities. I can't go.
We are too. It's hard for me sometimes to finish.
So it's really important for them to practice doing something from beginning until the end. And then because the activities are well thought, everything is well thought. When they make mistakes in practical life, everything is prepared for them to deal with that mistake. For example, if they spill something on the floor, they can take the cloth and which is ready for them to wipe the spilled water. And also, if they spill beans, they can just go and take the dustpan and the broom and clean it up.
Mistakes are easy to fix in practical life. Yes.
And also because we use breakable things, and then when they break things, they can see that the consequence is just that. It's just that things are broken. That's all. There's no people getting angry at them. So that's really important. And also in practical life, they learn to tidy up things and to prepare things for the next person to use. Yeah.
Okay. Did you discuss about the fact that practical life is related to the plane of adaptation and how this is related to the development of the will? Could you see the connection between the fact that practical life helps you to become adapted to your environment? How does this relate to the development of the will?
Yeah, we discussed that the practical life activities at school is the same with things that they should be doing at home.
Yes.
And then when they have the the opportunity to practice, they can perfect their self-independence, and they become more confident in doing things at home as well.
Exactly that. When you feel comfortable in your own daily environments, it's a strong invitation to go beyond your daily environment because you have strong roots, strong foundations. So it's the perfect way to exercise then your will for more complex topics. Because, I mean, again, it would be a bit caricatural, but you won't go into deep work, an abstract work, if you don't know what you have for lunch in 2 hours. Or if you can have food. It's not knowing about the lunch. It's if you're not sure you can find food for you for next lunch. Your priority would go into finding food. So if you don't have these strong and solid roots, you're not able to build wings. As simple as that. So this is why practical life, through this work about adaptation, it's also a powerful leverage for more abstract work. So this is why when some children of 5 years old in the CASA, they would come back to practical life, don't prevent them, even though you know that they already know so well about that, okay? So it's not like deep work. You would prefer that they would go into mathematics or deep language activities. But they need to feel comfortable. Practical life is their comfort zone. So don't prevent them from feeling comfortable. It's the condition for them to, after, go back to deep work. Okay.
The last slide, which is really important and interesting. We can teach the children that when accident happen, we can say Inna Lillah, which means that it comes from Allah and we go back to Allah.
MashaAllah. Okay, thank you very much. Very nice discussion, I guess. So the second group was about cosmic education. How can cosmic education and all moral developments support the development of the will?
So for us, we discussed that the essence of cosmic education, especially in Rumi, is that they built this sense of responsibility towards the world. They have a deep sense of gratitude and humility, and respect for all life. And then which develop on their conscience, and it builds on their inner discipline and peace. And it's especially to strengthen this understanding of the oneness of God and seeing the essence of Allah in everything around the world. So that would strengthen their moral development. Yeah.
Their moral development, yes, but the question is, how does that support the development of the will?
Will. So they're more intentional with
You got it exactly that.
Yeah.
That was the point.
Yeah.
They become, as they know more about the meaning of life, and their moral developments, they become more intentional. The key point in the Islamic perspective about the development of the will during the second plane is you become intentional. And this is very important, isn't it? Okay, thank you. Thank you. But that's the main point. If you should consider things in the Islamic perspective, the development of the will, so why you should support the development of a will through cosmic education is just understanding the world and developing your own morals will allow you to become intentional. And of course, we know that intention is at the start of everything. Thank you very much. Okay. So the Zoom group, who would like to share about how we can support children in recognizing their deep motivations? How do I do it?
Oh, not just one here.
That's on the max. Yeah?
Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to share?
Something, and then if anyone else would like to add after me, please do.
Yes, go ahead, Zara.
Okay, all right. So Alhamdulillah, I think we had a really good discussion about a lot of things. If I may share maybe 3 things that we talked about, 3 ways of 3 strategies. Sorry, I can hear my own echo. But is my voice clear? Sorry, is my voice clear?
Yeah, it's okay. There is some people, but it's still here.
All right, alhamdulillah. Okay, so I'll just go ahead. So the first thing that we talked about is asking questions to the child about what their interests and motivations are. So we had some time to talk about what types of questions to ask the child and how to approach the child so that they open. And the second thing we talked about is offering a lot of variety and exposure for the child, offer them different activities, bring them to different places, help them meet different people, especially experts of like different fields. So then they're exposed to all of this variety. And then after after we've exposed them to the variety, we can allow them to make their own choices, and for them to follow their own interests. And once they followed that interest, what we can do is we hold space for them to explore. So how we hold space for them is just giving them time, not rushing them, not imposing our will on them, and providing them the tools that they need to explore. And might, later on they feel like, oh, I think I'm really interested about this. I'm really motivated and driven to continue doing this, And if we help them finish the process of an activity, maybe there are some things in the activity that they like, some things that they don't like. But I think it's important for them to also know not just what they like, but also what they don't like. So those are some tools. And I think finally, we also talked about utilizing personality or preference testing. I think these days there are some tests that we can take, some questionnaires that we can help the child to take. And then that also gives us insight on what can drive the child, something like MBTI, like those kind of testing. Yeah. So those are some of the discussions that we had. Sorry, I can't hear anything.
Which MBTI type are you yourself?
I am ENFJ.
Which is?
Extrovert, intuitive, feeling, and judgment.
Yeah, but what's the name of category?
Category, I'm not an expert at it, but I just know what the headlines are, I guess. So extrovert, intuitive, feeling, and judgment, ENFJ.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Just so what you've shared is really good. I mean, it brings back to what we said about how does the child reach their fitra. It's about making choices and then being focused on that. So what you shared about giving their time is very important. I would just make an additional comment on the fact that instead of asking questions to the child about what do you like, it's better because may not be easy for them to answer these questions. So it's better to, as you said, expose them to different things and observe. Never forget about your superpower as Montessorians. This is really our superpower. We know how to observe. Because if you think about it, in mainstream education, they don't observe at all. They don't care. Again, the child should fit into what is proposed. So their purpose is not about observation. It's completely useless for them. For them, they provide the knowledge and then they would go on to tests. We are not into that. Okay, so a part of the MBTI thing, which can be a bit funny, but we are not into testing. We are not so much about asking questions. We are more into preparing the environment, so providing exposure to a large variety of topics, and then observe. And for the concentration, as I said, yes, we need to give time to the children, and we need also to be ease the consistency, so not allow so much distractions. Okay. Again, everybody finds his own way, but when the child has made a choice, what happens after should be consistent with his choice. It's not like I make a choice and after 5 minutes, I'm on to something else. We don't want that. We give them time, yes, and we make sure that they stay focused as long as it's relevant. Okay? Clear for everyone? So you see that at every step, we have so many tools, so many good practices we can implement for supporting the development of a will. Because eventually it's about being connected to yourself and to God. Okay? So I think we deserve a break. Huh? You agree? You want to have an ice cream, maybe? So let's go for a 20 minutes break until 11:30, and then we'll have a lovely talk from Nuseim until lunch break. Thank you. See you in a while at 11:30. So in 20 minutes from now.
Yes. It's quite affordable compared to other riding places. But
Yeah. Okay, shall we start back? No, it's it should be this one. Just close the audio or just close the laptop. Okay, and then this one is recording, right? Yeah. You can? Okay. Did you want to sit as well? Okay. Do we bring a chair for Julien here? Another chair? Can I? There's a sound that's echoing. Okay. So should we get started? Okay. So all right, so first of all, I do want to apologize that I do want to apologize that I was supposed to do a lot more in this talk, but because I've been unwell and my iron is like 8, so I don't have enough red blood cells and oxygen going around my body, I haven't been able to do as much as we would have wanted to, but we're definitely going to do it. We're definitely going to do it at some point and go through it with the Islamic perspective side by side, because it gives a deeper meaning and understanding, right? So I'm going to try my best to just go through a few things, but yeah, like I'm going to try my best to go through a few. So do forgive me if I'm a bit slow or stutter or make any mistakes, but I'll try my best. So following on from all the wonderful things that Julien has shared with us and the amazing perspective that he's given us, one of the things that really always stands out to me when we're talking about freedom, discipline, inner discipline, human development is always the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he created us, he tells us in the Quran that he created us in the best of forms. So that means each and every single one of us as adults, each and every single child that is born, every child that you have at home, no matter how challenging, how many tantrums they throw, every single child that you have in your classroom, no matter how much challenge they give to you, every single human being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, he creates them with this ability to become the best of forms. So we're all created with this potential to become the best version of ourselves. But we're not the best versions of ourselves just like that. It's a journey. It's a process. It takes time. We have to develop ourselves. We have to work with all of these different variables that are internal, such as our own thinking, our own ego, our own nafs, and so on. And also the variables that are external, such as the community that we live in, the society that we're in, how our parents are, how our teachers are, what education we have. These are all variables that come to play and impact us on this journey of striving to be the best person that we can be. And it's part of the human tendencies is that we want to strive to perfection. We want to strive to exactness and being the most perfect version that we can be. No human being is satisfied with themselves if they haven't improved themselves. Even if somebody says, yeah, I'm okay, that's how I am, whatever it is, deep down inside, they want to be better. That's a tendency that we all have, is to be the best and most perfect example of ourselves, right? So Allah tells us in Surah 13, he says, indeed, we created humans in the best of forms. And if he created us in the best of forms, that means everything that is needed for us to become the best type of Nusayba, or the best type of Zaib, or the best type of Julien, or everything that's needed for us to become that best version of ourselves is already within us. So when we're talking about discipline in a Montessori perspective, we're not talking about external discipline that we impose on the child and we do to the child. We're talking about inner discipline, a discipline that comes from within us. Because when Allah created us, he gave us every single mechanism or every single tool that we need internally so that we can regulate ourselves, develop ourselves to become the best version. And that's why in Montessori, this concept that discipline is something inner matches so perfectly with our prophetic examples, because also in Islam, we believe that this ability to become the best of forms, this ability for inner discipline, is something that comes from within us. It's something that you have inside you. So not only did Allah create each and every one of us with all the tools that we need to develop ourselves, to become the best version, to become the most disciplined person, not only do we have that inside us, but he designed the universe in such a way that around us, we are constantly surrounded by things that will help us reach that state of best human being, will help us reach our most perfect version of ourselves. So the universe itself, it's not designed just to be beautiful or to be pretty, but it's designed to lead us to Allah and to lead us to becoming the best version of ourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, in Surah Al-Fusilat, he says to us that we will show them our signs in the universe and within themselves. In the universe and within themselves, until it becomes clear to them that this Quran is the truth. Okay, so the signs are outside, surrounding us in the whole universe. That's why cosmic education is such a perfect match to Islamic education, and also the signs that we have within us. So we always have to remember, not only did Allah make you capable of inner discipline, he also put you in an environment that will help you achieve inner discipline. Okay. So those of you who joined our Islamic Montessori diploma and the theory course that we had, we spoke about this a lot, that there's different, there are an array of different definitions for education from the Islamic viewpoint. Okay. But most of them all come back to this, which is, I'm quoting Naqib al-Atas here, which is becoming insan adib. Okay. Insan adib is a person who is sincerely conscious of his responsibilities towards the true God, who understands and fulfills his obligations to himself and to others in his society with justice, and who constantly strives to improve every aspect of himself towards perfection as man of Adam. This is what the end result of a good education should be, to produce an insan adib. And in this definition, everything is included. Moral development, social development, intellectual development, everything is there. Emotional development. Yeah, because the ultimate aim for the journey of the human being. So if we're thinking of education as life, right? The ultimate aim for the end of your journey of life is to become what? Is to become insan adib, to become this human being who understands their responsibilities towards God, understands their responsibilities to others, and is always striving to improve himself. So always striving to inner discipline, always striving to become the best version that you can be of yourself. And if you want to know more, you can read about Imam Naqib al-Atas, his work on education, where he goes through it. So we have the universe, which has lots of science, and then we have ourself, where Allah has given us this blueprint to help us reach inner discipline. And then to help us really understand ourselves and the universe, we have the Quran, right? The Quran is the communication where God is telling us what our purpose of life is and how we should live our life on the earth and what we should do and what we shouldn't do and how we should go about living our life. And if you look at the Quran, all of these concepts that Julien was talking about for the last day and a half, freedom, boundaries, punishment, rewards, all of these concepts are in the Quran, okay? But sometimes we will misunderstand a little bit, right? So the idea of giving freedom, okay? A lot of Muslim people, when you talk about freedom, they think, oh, but that's not Islamic. We don't do that. But as a Muslim, do you not have freedom? You have lots of, we have so much, like, okay, everyone here who's wearing hijab, do we not all wear it a different style, right? Do we not all wear a different color, a different style, a different way that we wrap it? We have so much freedom in the wearing of hijab. It's not like everyone has to just wear one hijab in one way, in one color. There's freedom. And every single freedom that Allah gives us, let's say freedom to eat or freedom anything, he puts a boundary. And that boundary is just the perfect boundary to help us to become the better version of ourselves. So, for example, freedom to eat. It says in the Quran that you can eat from everything that is halal for you, except for that which is not halal. So you have the freedom to eat everything that you find on the earth. But then there's the boundary. And what's the boundary? You can't eat pork, and you can't drink alcohol, and you can't eat something that's not slaughtered, right? There's a boundary. So the way that the Islam is designed is to give us this freedoms, but with a boundary. And that boundary is there to always make sure that we're moving in the right direction. We know nowadays in 2025 that, for example, eating pork is not good for you, right? Scientifically, it's not good for you. We know that drinking alcohol is not good for you, okay? We know that meat is not, it's not just the meat, it's not just the animal, but it's also the energy that goes into the animal. So if you're eating something that's slaughtered in a halal way, it has a positive energy in it. So when you eat it, it's good for your body. It's better for your body than if you eat something that's not slaughtered correctly. So we know that now. We have the science to back it up. But historically, they didn't know that. And there are many boundaries that we still have, maybe, that we haven't realized why they're so important. But in the Quran, there's an array of freedoms that's given to all of us on how we can live our life. But then the boundary is always there. The boundary is like the rail that you know, when you go on these scary bridges, like to get to the camping site, there were some really scary bridges to cross, right? And if there's no railing, I would not want to drive on that, right? Because it's scary, you know, to go across those railings, right? The railings are there, like the boundaries to keep us safe and to help us keep going so that we can reach a higher level of ourselves. If those railings were not on that road, I would have not got to the campsite. Yeah. So we also want, as human beings, we want boundaries. I wanted those railings there because I wanted to get to the other side, right? The same thing for the child. They want these boundaries. Like there's so much of like, people are scared to say no. People are scared to put a limit. People are scared to put a boundary on the children. And then we feel like bad, but actually the child wants a boundary. They want there to be limits to their freedom because that's how they feel safe and that's how they can work on themselves. And it's the same thing that we have in the Quran. We've given this freedom and then there's these boundaries, and those boundaries are to keep us so that we can continue on our journey in a safe and healthy way. And when you take away those boundaries, so let's say you take away the limit on alcohol in a society and you can drink alcohol, what would happen? Chaos, right? Let's say in Malaysia, it's completely lawful. Everyone can drink alcohol. And what will happen to all of these men and women who are stressed from their jobs and from the recent inflation on the taxes, and what would happen, right? People would go towards something like alcohol, and it ruins your life, right? It makes your condition worse, right? So those limits are there because it helps us that we can keep ourselves going through the ease and the difficulty of life in the best way, to become the best version of ourselves. Likewise for the child, the boundaries that we put on the child, which are according to their level, which are according to their ability, according to their responsibility. It's like Julien showed you on that beautiful chart. You know, it's according to the child. Those boundaries are there to ensure the child can make the right choices and they can develop themselves. However, whatever level they're at, work on that part of their development as they go along. And so this concept of freedom within limits, this concept that Julien showed on that chart, that's in the Quran already, because that's what Allah's doing to us. That's how he designed this universe, right? And in the Quran, like, I think we don't emphasize this enough, but in the Quran, how does Allah talk to us about all of these freedom and limits and boundaries and stuff? He tells us stories, right? Story after story after story after story, because it's through stories, human beings, especially elementary beings, elementary humans, through stories, they help shape the decisions that you make. They help shape who you are. So it's not through forcing, because we're not forced to follow boundaries. Like Allah's not forced us to, he's not forced us to follow what he's asked us to do now. We're not being forced. Is anyone here forced to wear hijab? Despite what it says, what they say in France. Yeah, we're not forced. In the Quran, we're not forced. We're enticed and we're encouraged through stories. And the same way with the child, we're not forcing them to be disciplined. We're not forcing them to do what we are asking them to do or what they should be doing. We are enticing them and encouraging them. And like, especially for the elementary, it will be a lot through stories. Is the concept of rewards and punishment in the Quran as well? And I think this is a big, big, big issue that a lot of people who are Muslim, and then they hear about Montessori doing no rewards and no punishment, and then they think that, oh no, Montessori is not in line with Islam, because in the Quran we even have rewards and punishment. Like the whole time in the Quran, Allah is talking to us about rewards, Jannah and Jannatul Firdaus, and you know, all of these rewards that you get, and then punishments, hellfire and all of that. So how is the rewards and punishment that we have in the Quran, how does it fit in with what Julien shared? Does anyone know? Anyone have any ideas? How does it fit in? Because you need to know this, because if you're a Muslim parent and you're going to do no rewards and no punishment, you have to understand how it works with our belief system. Have you ever been in a circumstance where someone does something good for you, but they do it because they want the rewards that they get, right? So someone's going to do something. So, you know, let's say, you know, someone, so like, for example, a parent who wants to be in our school and we don't have any space, and they come and they're so nice and lovely to me, and they're talking and they're really friendly and helpful and caring and everything, but it's because they want something else. They want the reward that comes out from it. We've experienced it at some point in our life, right? That people who will do things because they want the reward. So how do you feel when that happens? Huh? Used? You feel like it's not sincere, right? Okay. But so in Islam, when you do a good deed, there is a reward, but that's like the lowest level of operating, is that you do the good because you want the reward. It's there in the Quran to entice us and to encourage us and to help us to see the difference between what we should and shouldn't do. It's there, but that's not human mastery. That's not human mastery. And everyone has to start somewhere. You start somewhere. Punishments are there in the Quran. But how are the punishments in the Quran different from the punishments that we have that we give our kids at home? How is it different? Sorry? We might embarrass the kids. I mean, we shouldn't, but yeah. So, but let's say it's just the normal punishment, not consequences, just punishments. What's the difference between, because I've had parents that come to me and say, in the Quran, Allah tells us we're going to be punished if we do this. Therefore, it makes sense that I punish my child. This is an Islamic principle. This is a Quranic principle. But what's the difference? The room for learning, delayed punishment. Thank you. This punishment that Allah is talking about, it happens many, 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 many years later. You make a mistake when you're 20, and if you live till you're 70, you have 50 years to make tawbah, to change yourself, to correct yourself, and Allah will constantly be there, enticing you and supporting you and guiding you along the whole of your 50 years that you have left of life to help you come back and make tawbah and change yourself. Only if you go through all of your life and you do not change yourself and you do not fix that mistake that you made and you do not repent and you do not become a better version of yourself over those 50 years, only after that, then before the punishment comes Allah's mercy, and only after that comes the punishment. So how is that? It's so different from punishment that we know now. They can't hear you.
It's similar to what I shared before. Who are we to pretend like we know better than Allah?
If punishments were supposed to be immediate, would it not happen immediately? So you sinned and then tomorrow your leg is off. Or you sinned and then now Allah makes it that you can't eat anything. Like even in Sharia. So let's say someone stole, right? And the punishment is chopping the hands. Does it happen that they stole and then the hand gets chopped? First of all, you have to look at why they stole. And if they stole because they don't have food, or they stole because there's no one looking after them or whatever it is, they don't get a punishment. Second of all, there has to be witnesses. And it's not just one witness. It's difficult to get those witnesses. And third of all, they have to be like willing to get their punishment. Like we all know the story of the Sahabiya who went to the Prophet Muhammad SAW and she told the Prophet Muhammad SAW that she committed zina. And the Prophet said, maybe you didn't. Maybe it was just like this. Maybe it was just like that. And she goes, no, I did. Maybe it was this. No. She said the proof is in her stomach. Okay. And then when she, so the Prophet asked her to have the baby first. So she had the baby. Then she went back to the Prophet. And then the Prophet told her breastfeed the baby for 2 years. So how long is this punishment? Right? And then she's the one who wanted the punishment. And what does she want the punishment for? To purify herself. Right? And when her blood splattered on the Sahaba, one of the Sahaba was disgusted. And what did the Prophet turn around and say? He said that she's from the righteous women. And it's like an honor. The blood of this woman is an honor. Right? So think about that punishment in Islam. It's not this Western colonialized version of punishment that we have around the world today. And if you go back to Malay culture, your punishment was not like this Western colonialized punishment system. It was not. Right? It was not this immediate, and it was never with anger. Right? If you look at the Prophet Muhammad SAW, he never ever punished somebody out of anger. So when you do the punishments that we see happening in this world right now, especially parents to children and teachers to children, it's because we cannot regulate ourselves. The adult is the one who's not regulating. I'm angry, therefore I shout. I took what you said personally, so therefore I'm going to react back and show you that I'm above you. I can make you. I'm the one in charge here, not you. Because we forget that Allah's in charge, right? In that moment, we forget Allah's the one in charge. It's not us who's in charge. right? We forget that that child who's in front of us, yes, they're 6 or 7 or 8, but in the soul world, they're 35 like everybody else. They're just on a later, they just came to this alam dunya a bit later than us, right? We forget that. In that moment, we take it personally, we get angry, we get frustrated, we can't regulate ourselves. We don't, that moment when that feeling in us rises, we just jump to it and we shout, or we do something to the child, or we shouldn't. We hit the child or we hurt the child, which we should never do. But who's the one at fault now? It's not the child, because the child is allowed to make mistakes. How are they going to learn if they don't make mistakes? The child is allowed to make mistakes. They are allowed to, okay, as an adult, when you make a mistake, it's recorded by the angels and you are accountable. But Allah doesn't even hold the child accountable. The child who is not baligh is not accountable. So not only is he allowed, we are accountable and we can make the mistake. And Allah still gives us all of this opportunity for tawbah and for this and for that, right? This child doesn't even have to do tawbah because he's not even accountable. Allah doesn't even write it down. He gives the child the whole of like 15 years of being a human being on this earth to learn how to put themselves and develop this inner discipline. So if Allah can give the child that leeway, then who are we to take that away from the child? Who are you? Who are we? The mother, the father, the teacher, and what? Who are you compared to God? Like, God is not judging that child. So why are you judging them? So yes, in Islam, in the Quran, we have rewards and we have punishment. But if you really look at the concept of rewards and punishment in the Quran and in Islam, it is not rewards and punishment as we know it in this modern, westernized, colonized world that we live in. It's punishment that comes a lot later, and it's only for adults, and it's after many opportunities for you to do tawbah, and it's rewards that are there to entice you. But it's not supposed to be the end goal, right? That it's not supposed to be you do this thing, you get this reward, right? In fact, we know that there's a hadith. Did I put it in here? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that there is none whose deeds alone would entitle him to get into paradise. So you're not entering paradise because of your deeds. So if you're doing something and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do this because then I want to go to paradise. I want to do this because I want to have a mansion. I want to do this because, and you know, like the guys who are like, I want to do this because I want to have the horror lane, you know, in Jannah, you know, it's like, you're not going to enter Jannah because of your deeds, right? You're entering, if you enter Jannah, it's because of Allah's mercy. Okay. And it's, the rewards are there to entice you. Yes. To encourage you. Yes. But that's the bottom level of operation. All of us need to develop ourselves to reach a higher level of operation where you're doing the good thing because of your internal discipline, the third level of obedience. But actually, I think in Islam, there's more than 3 levels of obedience. But, you know, we need to get to the third level of obedience and beyond, where we're not doing something because of the punishment or the reward, but we're doing something because we have that internal goodness and that internal discipline within us. Okay. And we're seeking Allah's pleasure. We're not seeking Allah's pleasure because when Allah's happy, he's going to give me Jannah. No, we're seeking his pleasure because we are genuine and we are honest about wanting Allah's pleasure or about Allah's love. Okay. In Islam, we already know that all actions are according to intentions. So whatever you do goes back to the intention that you had when you did it. So if a child pushed another child, but their intention was not to hurt the child, it was an impulse, they can't control their urges and they push another child, it's not the same as somebody who has an intent to hurt a child and intentionally pushes the child and inflicts pain, right? So there's two things. One is someone who's done something wrong, a child who's done something wrong with intention to do it wrong, intent. And the second is the child who's done something wrong because they haven't yet learned how to control themselves, their impulses, their urges, and everything. Most of what happens with children between 0 to 6, and I don't know if you agree with this, but most of what happens between 0 to 6, and for the most of elementary as well, especially the first half of elementary, comes from a very pure intention. It's not coming from this evil intent. Yes, as adults, we have this evil intent. We do. But for young children, for the most of it, it's coming from a pure place. Even if a child, so let's say, for example, we had this case in a KL school where a child was like taking another child's hat off and like throwing it. So they, like two boys, one boy goes up to the other boy, takes his hat off and throws it. Okay. It could be, you could think, oh, look, he's so annoying to this child. He's teasing children. He's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing it. But the root of his behavior was actually he wants attention from that child. And he doesn't have the language or the communication, or he doesn't know how to connect to that other child. So he does something which is easy for him, taking the child's hat repeatedly off, and he throws it to get attention. So the root of his intention for taking the other child's hat off was not something negative, right? So, and this is in elementary.
And remember what we said, that throughout the different stages of development, a child cannot develop a real intention before the completion of 6 to 12. Because the development of a true intention comes from the understanding of the universe and from the development of his own morals. Before that, you cannot say like it's true intention.
So not only is it that the child, Allah is excusing the child, not only is Allah giving the child this 15 years of their life to be able to, make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. Not only is he excusing, even the intention behind the child is a pure intention. That it's not coming from an evil intent. There's always some form of communication behind the child's behavior. Even if the behavior looks negative, there is some communication going on there, and there is something a need that's not met, and the child needs some help and support. So the intention of the child, which is a pure intention, but the action in our eyes was not a positive action, it still goes back to the pure intention. So that's even more of a reason for us to give this child some space and some time to show us first, to make these mistakes and to learn from them, and for us to support them and to help them. So Julien was just saying